Hey guys, it's Matt. Probably about 3 minutes, a little bit less, before I start reading chapter 12. Several things here. One, I wanted to share an email exchange I just had with Juan. Won't mention any last names or any specifics, Juan. Juan is basically telling me that he's having some sort of reality glitches at his own dinner table. And I emailed him back saying, a lot of weird things are happening to a lot of us at this point. And I shared with him a story that just happened to me yesterday, and I'll share it with you now. And then I have to talk about one other thing that's very important. The movie release, the combination movie release called Barbenheimer, the Barbie and the Oppenheimer movie coming out, and this marketing push of Barbenheimer. I want to talk about that briefly before reading chapter 12. So I told Juan the Prohibition video I did yesterday really inspired me to get out to the liquor store. And I went down to buy some red wine. And as I was walking out, they don't have bags anymore. The township bans bags here. They're trying to become a little California. I thought in my mind, this is probably leading to a lot of drops. People they're trying to balance 3 bottles and just dropping it. The fact that the store very recently no longer offers bags. 10 seconds later, what do you think happened? The woman, a few cars down, smash. As soon as I think I just dropped. No, okay. Coincidence, of course, but when these things happen and they, weird synchronicities, and it's not all as strange as what happened to Juan, but I'm saying if this weird stuff happens to you, and what happened to me, of course, just minor compared to what Juan described, welcome it. It just it's fascinating. Welcome it. Not that you want to draw more of it to you, but this whole reality experience is so fascinating. It's incredible to me at this point. I think that's the best attitude. Okay, on Friday, Barbenheimer is going to be released, which is this meme. They're combining the Barbie movie with Oppenheimer because they're both released on the same day, and this meme's blowing up and people are talking about Barbenheimer and their shirts, Barbenheimer. And it's not the biggest thing of all time, guys, but this, first off, it is so part of the script. Once again, our best friends think, what a coincidence that Oppenheimer, the movie, and Barbie, the movie, released on Friday, I think just in a few days, the same day. So the population just came up, I guess, organically, just kind of came about. A Barbenheimer, they're calling it. Well, look, of course it's a script. Some people screaming at me would say, well, Matt, of course the movie studios got together. They planned it just for marketing reasons. But there's something, we could make a whole video out of this, but it just reeks of the esoteric, occult nature of it just kind of screams at me about the combination of these movies. Now, even actually with one word, Barbenheimer, one goes to see the ultimate, they're saying, do a double feature. Go see the ultimate movie about fake Barbie, and then go see the hardcore realism about Oppenheimer. And maybe it's the opposite. I don't want to over-speculate on what it's actually saying, but there is something that's screaming at me. Never made a lot of videos where somebody would come forth in the truth community with a Pootie Tang award and say, Matt, don't you know that nukes aren't what the history book presents them as? Like, oh no, I never heard that before, doing this for 14 years. Never got into that much for a few reasons, but there is something here where, I'm not taking it off the table. If somebody comes to me and says, Matt, look what they're telling us. They're linking Barbie to Oppenheimer. Yeah, are they capable of sending that sort of message? Does that tell us something potentially about the nuclear vessels? It might. Yeah, we'll just leave it at that for now. Chapter 12. Remember the concentric rings diagram, which represents how your heart center relates to the knot nilk's outer ring or screen? How it's trying to get inside your heart center reality bubble? Imagine you're the center of a bullseye with a small ring around you. This is your heart-centered reality bubble. Another layer out, or a larger ring around your personal ring, is called society and culture, say where you live, your city or town. An even larger ring out may represent a country, or in general, the West. The largest ring around it all is called the screen, or the knot nilk. As one moves outward, things get less and less real, or less genuine. I don't know the size of your personal reality bubble, but the circumference is relatively small. As you move outward toward the larger rings, the reality grows more fake and more deceptive. Everything becomes something of a lie as one moves further away from their heart center, which is the source of all R-E-A-L, real, in this place. Perhaps the heart center of real people is the source that powers the entire reality. The outer ring is the corrupter and our spiritual adversary. It floats ideas and images down towards you that are meant to get your attention. Where attention goes, energy flows. It reaches its slimy hand towards your heart-based reality bubble, but it can't get inside and just grab you. Only you can decide to reach out and shake hands with it. It cannot penetrate your heart-centered bubble directly without your consent. It needs the energy of your heart center to shape the next ring up, society and culture, in the sick way that it wants. It strives to manipulate and mold society into a place that further assists its own needs and goals. You are the fuel and the force it needs to shape the larger rings. It's almost certain it can't do these things on its own, for what would be the purpose of its endless trick if it could? The outer ring or screen is expert at floating blurry images and vague concepts that it then tricks you into solidifying and making real. This process is also called hardening the cement on reality. You are the key ingredient to harden its cement. Unfortunately, when it succeeds, it reinforces a nasty feedback loop. As real people are tricked to shape culture into the abomination that it wants, the next layer up, society and culture, is now even more influential over the heart-based realities of real people. And then it becomes even easier for it to extract energy in the future. This is why the ship of fools appears so insane to us today, say, than it did in 1980. This damaging loop continues as the outer ring or screen gains influence over the source of reality. Don't worry if you don't understand all of this right now. All you need to do is see the general trick that it's laying down and not follow Paul McCartney's advice. That creep says some not-nilk's knocking at the door. Don't do him a favor. Don't ever let it in. Do me a favor. Don't open the door, man. The greatest news of all time, though, it's up to you. It can't get in without you opening the door to it. Without you, the outer ring is likely powerless. Like He-Man, you have the power that drives this reality. The outer ring isn't genuine. It doesn't just ask nicely for our energy. Why doesn't it just ask? Hello, good sir, hello, who's talking to me? Well, I can't see you. It's the screen, the not-nilk. Sir, what? I've got to get to lunch. Do you mind if I take a little of your energy? You see, I need it to survive. Lend a hand, good sir, come back. Why doesn't it just ask? Think about it. I'm not joking. But the way reality is structured, it feels it must play a trick on us for us to give up the booty. Why does anyone or anything play a trick? To get something it can't get for itself, or have someone do something that they normally wouldn't do. The entity being tricked is in the position of power. And you know who that is, don't you? Jack Burton? No. RuPaul? No. Us. We're the ones being tricked. We're the ones in the position of power. The trickster needs something from the tricked. The trickster is the lower Fiddle and Ben's Melvin entity. This rule is true for all kinds of tricks. The magician performing for a second-grade birthday party needs the kids to really believe the hat is magic, needs the kids to believe that the lady is really sawed in half. His professional reputation and more gigs depend on the trick being successful on those little brats in the second-grade party. If his act bombs, social media will see to it he never works again. But think about this. What if the not-nilk's trick bombs? Now, it's doing a heck of a job right now. Just look at your family and friends. But who knows? We can all imagine this, put this in our mind's eye. Maybe 6 months or a year from now, it'll start to bomb. I don't mean to keep saying that just a few days before Oppenheimer. It's just some sort of Freudian slip. What if its trick doesn't work? See, the magician trying to fool the second graders, if he becomes a bad magician or he doesn't work on his craft or the kids start to see through it, he can always go back to McDonald's or something. It's not the end of the world. He can scrape by a living. But if this not-nilk, if it can no longer execute its trick, it might cease to exist. There's a lot riding on it. So this is a pretty interesting fork in the road for us. The choice is yours. You can imagine in your mind's eye that it no longer can execute its trick. It's just failing. And even people like my friend Tony are actually seeing through it and waking up and everything's just crumbling. And then it might cease to exist. Or see, you could have a little sympathy for it maybe. Matt, a couple weeks ago, you said we potentially have sympathy for Melvin types, a being that truly believes or knows it is as grand or as high as it is, would have sympathy for everything. I'm not saying to lend your Larry, just like I said about Larry Silverfish, throw that man an additional penny. But if this not milk thing will cease to exist, if it ever becomes a bad magician, I don't know. A being that's truly great may actually have sympathy for the poor little creature. Maybe that's what Gollum represents. We thought Gollum was the devolved human. Maybe Gollum is the devolved reality. Maybe Schmeagol and Gollum is the not milk. And remember, Frodo had sympathy for the poor little thing. I don't know. Just playing with some different ideas. At least for right now, in this reality, the not-milk is the magician trying to make a living. Think of it, I'm telling you, think of it like that. Unfortunately, most of our friends and family gladly pay up to it, even as the trick gets more and more lame to us. The Jurassic Park analogy comes up once again. The Earth is a place for real souls to have an experience, just as the guests in the movie came to Jurassic Park. If the scary dinosaurs were not in the park, there would be no reason for the tourists to come. The element of danger on Earth, not real but perceived, is necessary. The asshole class here or minion, like Melvin P., are necessary on your own Jurassic Park ride. Both Gollum and Sauron were needed in The Lord of the Rings. However, it seems this T-Rex reality of 2023 has gotten out of control, similar to what happened in the movie when the dinosaurs broke through the fence. The dinosaurs in the movie were put there so the visitors could come and have a once-in-a-lifetime experience. It's likely these role players and many other things on Earth were put here too, so we could experience some weird and beautiful shit that likely doesn't exist where we originally came from. It's not a stretch to say that these Melvin dinosaurs were shipped here for us. Remember Wayne's drawing? Person looking around, tiny little thing, all this complexity all around. All of this for us? Yes. It is likely the entire reality is for you. You're not some side effect from an explosion from space, from Spaceball 1. That's ridiculous. In the movie, the power of the dinosaurs grew to where the whole environment became a threat to people. The park had to be closed. Will the Earth have to be closed if the trajectory of these butt munchers continues? Who knows? But the Earth having to be closed as an idea is far more believable than any nonsense that Carl Sagan or Mitch Pikachu ever put forth. Is that what is happening here on Earth? Is it as simple as having to close the Earth Park after the entity that was placed on Earth has become too good at what it was designed to do? Has it broken through the electric fence with its AI and Chat GPT to become a real Melvin menace? I don't think it's close to that yet. I really don't. It may be prohibited from ever getting that far out of control by its greater master, no matter how devious it becomes at this moment in history. I tend to believe that this whole experience is by design and as it should be. I don't believe, it's hijacked. This place was hijacked. It's just supposed to be palm trees and lotion. It wasn't hijacked. It's as it should be. If you've come this far, I believe you will always be able to resist the not milk because it seems the basic rules here can't be broken. Once again, we need to doom ourselves here, no matter what new tools it gains access to. It can't reach in directly to your heart-centered reality bubble. It does not matter how powerful it gets in relation or over the masses. In the end, its power is relegated to this little snow globe. It can't break into your spiritual house directly, and it can't extend beyond the reach of its leash. No one reading this will ever fall for the trick again, and therefore we will never doom ourselves. We see through it all. Lest I say it again, this is the best news of all time. Matt, how you know all this? Who the heck are you, boy? Look, as I've said, I don't know for sure. I've been at the center here of lots and lots of smart people. I'm a collector of information. Once in a while, I have an idea of my own, if you can believe that. Everything in this book is my opinion, goes without saying, of course. But you hold the answer yourself to how do I know. Real people, all of us, have access to the same gut feeling and inner knowing. We've been fogged over. We've been put into a not-milk opium den. We've been put asleep. It's all there. Look at Melvin. Take a look at him in your mind's eye or go to Google Images. Not the one where he gets the pie thrown on him, but look at the minions of this world. Do you for a second believe they have any influence outside of this little place? Come on, sir. That's a joke. Their power is likely confined to Dr. Moriarty's box. Let me go away from the book and explain that reference for a second. Star Trek The Next Generation with Picard, 25, 30 years ago. The antagonist in the Sherlock Holmes series, Dr. Moriarty. They create the character on the holodeck. Somehow it comes alive and it can walk the halls and take over the ship and take over the ship's computer. Well, at the end, they trick it with another form of illusion. Yeah, anybody thinking this could be a truth drop to the situation we're in? Yeah, maybe we'll talk about it some other time. They tricked Dr. Moriarty into believing that he just walked around the corner. He actually walked into another illusion. He walked into another hologram. He originally was a holographic projection that kind of became alive and could walk the halls of the ship, but they put him in a damn little box, a little computer. He was originally a holographic character so they could do this. So he thinks he's in an infinite reality in the real world where he can actually get in his little spaceship and travel star system to star system, the way Dr. Pikachu says somebody can do, or the way Elon Musk says he's going to do. That fraud. But he's in a box, and in the end, they just hold him in their hand, in the palm of their hand. He's living out an entire infinite reality in a little computer program running in the palm. And I think that's someday we will look back at this experience literally like you could almost put it in the palm of your hand. I think one of the most important and largest rules here is the law of inversion, backwards, opposites, refraction. When people think about planets like Jupiter and Saturn and massive star systems, it's beyond comprehension. And then someday it'll be the opposite. We'll hold a little box, a little illusion box in our hand and say, the whole universe is in this box, and like little tiny Jupiter and Saturn, just these little tiny things in this little computer program they found at the bottom of a Cracker Jack box. I don't mean to trivialize it. It shouldn't be trivialized. This is a very necessary experience. But compared to all that there is, or all that there ever was, it is trivial. All right, it is trivial. Because people think the scientists can't comprehend the magnitude of Jupiter and these movies like 2001, 2010, and the monolith. It's so awesome and awe-inspiring. It's going to be the opposite someday. You just hold it in your hand, maybe decide to throw it in the trash. But what about Melvin and Bezzo? Will they be able to hold the entire reality system in their hands? That's where we're not sure. Are they role players confined to Dr. Moriarty's box? Are they stuck in a box? Something else just popped into my mind that was doomed to a box. The Cenobites from Hellraiser. Matt, you didn't just equate Melvin with the Cenobites like Pinhead. I did. I mean, they were stuck in a box. Moriarty's stuck in a box. Melvin's stuck in a box. Maybe. Okay, maybe. But we don't know. We have sympathy that maybe, just like when we talked to President Obama, we said, maybe in the hundreds of millions of years, you could come back from the summer as a regular human being. And Ted said, and Obama said, really? It's possible if they do the work, maybe the work that we're doing right now. The point of all this is we sense that these hermetical principles, I don't know, Hermes Trismegistus, Trismagician, I don't know who he is, but we feel in our gut feeling or inner knowing that these principles do apply, as above, so below. To me, it means just reinforces there's a part of me that's not here or a spiritual bridge out. I think as above, so below, whoever Trismagistic magician was, it applies in some way. Okay, we feel that it does. But does as above, so below apply to it something like a Melvin or a Bezzo? No, there again, not so sure. Maybe it's the AA, the as above. That part is not the Alcoholics Anonymous, the as above. That might not be there for them. Just the so below. That's all they got, so below, without the as above. So you know what the Hermeticin principle is? For Melvin, it's so below, tidy bowl. As above, so below for us, for them, so below, tidy bowl. It's a hermetical principle that applies to role players like Melvin and Bezzo. That's why they love this reality, because they ain't no above. All they got to look forward to is the below, and that's tidy bowl. Matt, before you said something about agreeing to come here, who agreed to come to Earth? Well, Tony has told me all about it. Not that Tony, my best friend, the Tony that has shared certain things with me, that's communed with his higher self. He stressed to me more than anything. He said, you agreed to come here. He said, and I remember this email very clearly. He says, if there's one thing that you remember, and I have talked to him on the phone, one thing you remember and forget everything else, you agreed to come here. At least you in conjunction with what he called higher self. You agreed to come here as spirit before birth. We talked about how strange it is that no big religion spends any time on what you were before birth. That's kind of like a big have to forget about, don't you think? That's worse than being served a cheesesteak without the bread. We're going to address what happens to you after you die. There's heaven, there's Valhalla, no. Well, what about before? You just forgot about that whole 18 trillion years? Sorry, we'll talk about that some other time. That's a big problem I have with big religion. Remember the inverse and ask backward rule in this world? Yeah, because I just talked about it a minute ago. Science says you are the result of a random accident. That means the truth is the opposite of that. Science says the chance of you being here right now after the Big Bang is 1 in hundreds of trillions. Randomness to the highest magnitude, probably 100 zeros after that. That means the truth is just the opposite of what people like Pikachu presents. You living and existing at this exact time is not random at all. You were meant to be here right now. The part of you that's not here, that some say is called higher self or oversoul, etc., sent a piece of itself to Earth, but not for a vacation, but instead to get a spiritual ass-kicking in order to learn something that can't be experienced outside of this place. The evidence of this, in my opinion, is overwhelming. From the moment Dorothy arrived in Oz, all she wanted to do was get back home. I got to get back home. And we talked about many times how she should have had fun if she would have just realized her predicament, realized she's not from this place, she's from somewhere else, realized nothing can harm her here. What did that Hillary Clinton witch do to Dorothy? Nothing, honey. Well, why don't we learn something from Dorothy's failure and apply that to ourselves? We at least start by not getting stressed, let the anxiety go, let the fear go, all the crap that we carry around on our back all day long. I'm not saying to go do something really risky or anything. I'm saying at least we could start with the basics. But most in the truth community these days, they just bitch and complain that we want out and we want to get far, far away from here. There is no smelling of the roses and it's just hijacked and we got to get out. Okay. I don't want to come back here either. I said I don't want to see some relative of Chelsea Clinton sitting on a throne with a hellhound. I don't want to experience this again, but I sure as heck going to smell the roses. Gather ye rosebuds, why ye may. I scream it out all day long like an idiot. I don't read any poetry. I got that from everything's from a movie. Of course, it's from Dead Poets Society. Gather ye rosebuds, why ye may. I mean, Czar is tired of hearing of it. Shut up about the rosebuds. There is so much here that this reality still has to offer that they can't take away. Now, at death, our Earth-Vietnam tour could be over for good. I don't want to ponder reincarnation or soul traps and Saturn moon matrices right now. We'll do that some other time. But as discussed, you likely, as a powerful being, get at death what you expect to get at death. If you expect soul traps and tricks and, we're screwed, we're so screwed, you're going to get that. That's why it's playing the trick now to convince you that it's coming. See, we know that's how it works now. It's endless tricks. Why is it playing a trick? You are in the position of power. Okay, we've been over this. My advice, though, regarding this Dorothy example is enjoy this funhouse and haunted castle while we're here. Enjoy every aspect of this boardwalk ride, even the bad, if at all possible. Just like us, Dorothy came to Oz with a mind wipe and didn't remember the old black and white Kansas world that she came from. People in our community like to sadly protest, "This world is hijacked." No, it just seems like that. So you take it seriously and feed the workers their minimum wage power. Well, it used to probably be the amount of fear, anxiety, stress, and loosh that this system is sucking now. They're probably not working minimum wage any longer. I need to correct that in the book. On Earth, all threats must appear to be legitimate, or the funhouse isn't very exciting. It needs to be believed in. It's fun to see the dinosaurs for the first time when you go to Jurassic Park. But Jurassic Park is the most exciting because of the threat that the dinosaurs could come over the fence. This Earth system was almost assuredly designed this way from the very start. Maybe it's true what some say, that the creeps have overstepped and bitten off too much. Sure, it's possible. Maybe they've broken a contract of some kind. It really seems to be growing out of control. I agree. It does seem like the T-Rex in Jurassic Park, not just Melvin, but the entire system that he represents. And we see this AI has come out of nowhere in the last year. I mean, literally a year ago, almost nothing, even in terms of the Stable Diffusion, the Mid-Journey images. Now it's all over the board, across the board, image, sound, deep fake. You can chat with the damn thing. Another program online, an app from your phone can raise your kids. It's come from nowhere in a year. And many people are saying, certainly, Matt, this is what you call not milk, out of control. I still believe that everything is playing out as it should be. I don't believe that these minions or whatever is represented here is capable of overstepping the incredible power that built the entire reality system. And if the element here that we call not milk or the screen, represented by its minions, has gotten out of control and broken through the fence like the T-Rex, I would think the creator of the entire reality system, no matter who or what that was, would be powerful enough to fix the problem. It's like somebody that has a fish tank. You know, it's like, oh, these little tiny piranha fish are chewing through the glass, and the whole world is coming to it. No, the guy that owns the fish tank he can either remove the piranha fish, he has a net, he can fix the outside with a certain type of silicone caulk. The guy that owns the fish tank ultimately is in control. We're inside the tank. It seems bad, but come on, man. We're just talking about a guy with a fish tank, not a creator of this reality system, whatever you might want to call it. God, whatever. I don't ponder those things because in this experience, I don't think we're meant to know God or source. I don't want to turn this into that conversation right now. We're meant to be blind here. All these people, God wants you to do this, and God, we're not meant to know ultimate source here or God or whatever. We're meant to be blind here. I embrace that experience. Books like A Purpose-Driven Life, which is a Christian book, it's ridiculous to me, these little chapters. God wants you to be able to do this. God wants you to somebody. Dude, this is the guy I'd like to debate. Dude, if I could debate this guy, it would be out of sight. To say, dude, how are you speaking for what God wants? And it's not just a literal interpretation of the Bible. That is not what these books are doing. The purpose. God wants you to do you're speaking for God? Are you kidding me? The height of arrogance. I think God would appreciate my perspective. It's like, yeah, we put these sons of bitches, these poor devils in this place, like the Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind kid. They don't know where they came from. They don't know a damn thing about themselves. And the person's big enough to say, I don't think I was meant to know God here. I think I was meant to experience this sort of spiritual isolation. Embrace that experience. But Rick Warren in books like A Purpose-Driven Life would actually, they have the arrogance to explain, like on the back cover, it says like, he explains God's intention for each of us. Like, what? How you going to explain, you going to speak for God? Explain God's intention? Talk about blasphemy. Talk about arrogance. At least poor devils like myself would say, at least I don't know. And I look around at my circumstances and say, per my circumstances, God's intention for me, per just looking around, not that I can speak for God or know God, is to put me into a state of spiritual retardation, where it's Tommy, the deaf, dumb, and blind cub. Where you come from? I don't know where I came from. Where you going? I don't really know. I'm trying to get a sense as to who I are. What the hell? A sense as to who I are? A sense as to who I am? A sense of what the spiritual adversary looks like or is, how it operates, what it's here to do for me. I can only step back and observe my own circumstances. And these jackasses say they speak for God. I'm way off the book now, I know, but just one more minute or less. I mean, look around at your circumstances. But then we're told over and over by these religions, we're meant to know God. We're meant to have No, we are not meant to know original creation, the source of all things, the Christian God, the Muslim God, or the God of anything. We are meant to be blind here. I mean, this is so plainly obvious. Don't you think there's any other place in the universe where you can really know God? Where actually commune with God? This is the place not to know God. This is the place to be confused. Embrace that side. Lie to yourself and say, I know all about God, and these books will tell me what God wants from me here. If God wants one thing from me here, is that we're not meant to know God here, and I'm meant to be confused. I embrace the confusion. Let me start reading again. This reality is like Mike Tyson. And at least for a while, you are Michael Spinks. You agreed to come here. You were spiritually inserted into this place, in my opinion, and then into a body. Your avatar or body was made by your mother, but she didn't create life. Think about how stupid that is. Your mother burned your meatloaf for a decade, and the best topping she had for the meatloaf was ketchup. But she created life? Like some kind of god? That's absurd. Crack mothers laying in gutters then create life. It's from Boys in the Hood. Remember that when Trey, keep your baby out the street. And she says, I don't want to say, just keep your baby out the street. No, I don't think her or my mother know they can create life. Your own spiritual timeless essence is the spark that starts the car, that creates the life. That key ingredient was not made by your mother in a few minutes after your father's hot pork action. Okay, your mother built the body of the car. That's still something I can't do. That's pretty amazing. And then she filled it with gas, her own food supply and milk, and that's amazing. But that's not where the spark of life came from. A mechanism we don't understand inserted the starter and turned over the spiritual engine. The part called soul and spirit transcends this place and didn't come from your meatloaf-burning mother. Here, you have control over your body like a character in the Sims game, but this avatar on Earth has real joint pain and passionate emotions that can tear you apart. We were meant to be weak and seemingly powerless in this place. It's part of the experience. The emotional roller coaster ride. It's tough, man. Embrace it. It's part of the experience. All of this is another giveaway to the overall goal of this game. The master trick is about hiding a powerful being's true nature from itself. Of course it is. It's so obvious at this point. Putting something powerful like you into a body of like George Costanza, puts you in there. It's a great way to assist the master ruse because the human body is so pathetically weak. Again, apply the rule of opposites. In this body, we are the weakest little thing imaginable. Little ingrown toenails bother us. And this is impossible if Darwin is right. Darwin's all part of the reality script. The power structure that's here knows it's all bullshit. They laugh when people fall for it and bow down before it. What does it tell you, this body, your body alone, about who or what you really are? The concept isn't complicated. Don't overthink it. You, a timeless spirit, dropped into a weak-ass body to have an experience that the whole of you will benefit from. A big part of the trick is convincing you that you're weak, confused, and powerless. There's an asshole here trying to put you back on the road most traveled. Any game needs an opponent on the other side. If you fall for reality tricks and bow down before the minions, it wins. Matt, what do you think the dire consequences are if it wins? I'm much more to the no consequences people's side. I've come around the last, say, 2 years on this. Yes, I think there's a consequence. A life wasted is a life wasted. But in terms of the big picture, all there is, I don't think we're sucked down the Pope's abyss. I don't think we go down to the Pope's oblivion, the Pope's garbage disposal or whatever. Like bad people don't go to hell; they go into the abyss. No, I don't know. In general, a life wasted, if I can quote the great man Rick Warren, a purpose-driven life wasted on the not nilk, I think there's a consequence for that because we're here to do something. But I don't think there's no grand spiritual consequence. Maybe if you make minion with it and you bow down before it and you get into the pentagram and all that, there could be. We're not doing that. Just being a good person like my friend Tony, just fooled his whole life defeated energy. I don't think there's any dire spiritual consequence. Maybe they have to do it again. Maybe they have to do it a million more times. But the essence, in my opinion, the essence of themselves doesn't get sucked into the Pope's garbage disposal. My biggest disagreement with the no consequences people probably comes in this weird term that I don't know why. I kind of like it. I'm going to stick with it. People that make minion with it. It doesn't even make any sense, but I like it. People that make minion with it. Like Bob Dylan says, that I made a Faustian deal with the chief commander, or people like just complete puppets like Logan Paul or Elon Musk. People that have made, I like this term, people that have made minion with it. I don't know what that means, but I love it. The diehard no consequences people would say, Matt, you could again go be a hitman for The Sopranos, and there's no spiritual dire consequence for constantly stepping into that pentagram. And it doesn't matter because nobody listening to me or myself, we're not going to do that. We're going to try to live the best life we can. But that is where I'm just not so sure. If you make minion with it and you cozy up to its Faustian pact that close, there could be a consequence. Okay? And if there are for people that are that fooled and are that in love with getting close to it, so be it. Worry about yourself. I don't care if Alec Baldwin has married that bride for too long. That's his problem. Look, we can speculate forever as what happens to a real person, consequences, no consequences, if they make the Faustian bargain, if they step into the pentagram, if they attend too many eyes wide shut parties. What's the password? I don't know no password. If they get too close to it, under the dragon's wing, we could ponder this all day long. How many of them are actually real? This has nothing to do with a worry about yourself personal journey. Okay? There could be very dire consequences. Maybe there no consequences. People would say, well, okay, there is no dire spiritual consequence. It's just they didn't do in life what their higher self called for them to do. It was a wasted incarnation. People like Tony say that higher self has multiple incarnations in this reality system at different times, maybe in other reality systems. It just was like a loser sitting on the bench of an NBA team, didn't do what it was supposed to do. Some incarnations, like Alec Baldwin, if it was a real person that got too far into the dragon's wing, it's like a Ben Simmons in the NBA loser incarnation. It just didn't get anything done. It was a complete loser for its entire life. Hey, that might, again, per the no consequences people, that does not affect the spiritual essence of the higher self. Again, it's all speculation, so it doesn't matter. You know you're here for a reason. I know I'm here for a reason. I'm here to do what I'm supposed to do. So, because who knows? We have to repeat. We have to do it again. Who knows what the consequences are? Doesn't matter. I'm going to do what I'm called to do, not because I'm afraid of a consequence, because I'm going to do it either way. Thanks for listening.